But the big event of the week, the final stretch of the US presidential elections. Prashant is joining in now with a quick explainer on the process of how the US president is elected. Prashant.
Well, thanks very much for that. Toss-up, dead heat, coin toss, too close to call. You can all use all these and more adjectives to describe the US election. But the fact is, it is right in front of us, and we'll have to deal with what comes our way. We should have a new US president in the next 48 hours. So let's take a couple of minutes and talk about how the US election process itself works. First up, the basic question: how is a US president elected? Well, eligible voters will elect the next US president, vice president, all 435 House of Representative seats and 34 out of the 100 Senate seats and more. The next president, either former President Donald Trump or Vice President Kamala Harris, will be determined by what is known as the Electoral College. 538 electors among 50 states and DC, where a majority of 270 or more voters is needed. Now remember, the electoral vote is awarded on the basis of the popular vote in each state, and this can differ from the national overall popular vote. Basically, each state has a certain number of electoral votes, and depending on who wins that state vote, all the electoral votes of that state go to the winning candidate. In that sense, it is a bit of a winner-takes-all situation, state by state. This is true for 48 out of the 50 states, except 2 states, that is Maine and Nebraska, which follow a system of proportional representation. So basically, the way the US election system is set up, a candidate could win the overall popular national vote, but still lose the Electoral College and hence lose the election. Okay, now let's talk about the lay of the land, right? I mean, the 538 electoral seats, but there are some, both candidates start at different levels. Historically, some US states like California have always voted for Democrats, and some have always voted for Republicans. Assuming that this stays the same, that these states which have historically voted one way or the other vote the same way, Republicans can count on 219 electoral votes and Democrats can count on 226 electoral votes. This is what I call safe votes, provided that historical voting patterns continue. But you need 270 or more to win the election. So Republicans then need 51 more seats, electoral votes to reach 270. Democrats need 44 more to reach 270 electoral votes and hence win the election. Now, because of the safe seats for both Republicans and Democrats, which we will assume will vote the same way, the swing states come into play. These are the states where voters are undecided and have swung both Republican and Democrat in previous elections. There are 7 such swing states which are in focus, with Pennsylvania the most important because it's got the largest number of electoral votes within the swing states. The other 6 states are Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, North Carolina, Georgia, and Wisconsin. This is also the closest election in a long time. Trump is leading the national polls by 0.3 points and is either tied or very marginally ahead across all major swing states. The last 2 elections were also very close. Just how close? I mean, I think the numbers will tell you. In 2020, just 43,000 votes across 3 states, that is 0.02% of the total national vote, determined the winner. I mean, if you go back to 2016 election, it was 77,000 votes. That is 0.05% of the national vote, which determined the winner in that election. Could this one be even closer? I mean, I think we'll have to wait and find out. Lastly, we come to when will we know the results? And I think there is a fair bit of confusion around this as well. Remember, the Associated Press, AP, and most other news sources did not so-called call the election, the 2020 US election, until Saturday, November 7th, 4 days after the election day. With this election also being very close, could we see a repeat? Well, sure we could. But do remember that a delayed result should not prevent financial markets from reflecting the likely election outcome, on the election night or early the next morning, which is going to be Wednesday morning. So let's get to specifics in terms of timing. By when do we sort of see some of this stuff come by? And I've sort of converted all timings to our time here. By Wednesday morning, 6:30 a.m. our time, majority of polling stations in the US should close. remember that news organizations cannot make projections until polls close. Prior presidential elections have been called by our time 9:50 a.m. That will be Wednesday morning, 9:50 for us. There are exceptions to this. This includes year 2000, 2016, and 2020. In the first two, which is year 2000 and 2016, the Electoral College winner was not the popular vote winner. And that is the reason why you had a delayed sort of results coming through. Just to sort of, conclude, be prepared for an exciting Tuesday night. If you plan to follow the US elections live, stay up the night and track it, or simply plan to get up a little extra early, that is on Wednesday morning, to catch our programming on US election verdict and, of course, the market implications. Back to you.
Right, Prashant, very interesting one out there. For all those who are wondering what exactly and how exactly does the Trump versus Harris debate and the election, the fight pan out, you don't have to wait for too long. 48 hours is when we get to who the next US president would be. Thanks a lot for that, Prashant. We'll take a short break, but